They were the backing band for soul titan Roy C. on his independent Alaga label. They became prolific enough to back Roy on his major label releases on Mercury Records. They created a song that became one of the most sampled in the history of music and became a template for DJs to backspin and for MCs to practice to. Only synthetic substitution and the funky drummer have been used as much as a practice tool for upcoming and established MCs to practice to. And they are the Honey Drippers.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Honey Drippers in the house tonight.
The Honey Drippers is a little-known group with a well-known record, okay? Now, the Honey Drippers originally was a five-piece band. On bass, you had Fred Bush. On drums, you had the great Morris Ellis. On guitar, you had Arthur Daly. On guitar, you also had Larry Muse. And on sax, you had the great Michael LeGraire. Now, originally, this band was called Soul Safari, okay? And they were playing at St. Catherine's School in Queens. This group is from St. Albans, Queens. And the great Roy C., who's known as the King of Southern Soul, was actually at this particular gig, and he was checking them out. And he liked what he heard. These were cats that were probably 10 years his junior. You know, they were high school cats, 16, 17 years old. And they had a five-piece band that they made sound a lot more full than their five pieces. So he said, look, I want to take you guys under the wing, take you to be my backing band. Now, Roy C. had hit records. His biggest hit was probably Shotgun Wedding, I think, back in 1965 or so. And he had his own record labels, a couple of them, the biggest one being Alaga. And he also had a deal with Mercury Records. So what he told them was, look, I want you to be my backing band on my Alaga output, okay? And when you get your chops up, you can come, you can back me up at Mercury. And they did just that. They started out on Alaga, mid-70s, backed him up, got their chops up, and he backed him up on his Mercury output. Now, Roy C's stuff was a lot more soulful and bluesy. And when he got with the Honey Drippers, or actually Soul Safari, his sound became a lot funkier than anything he had done previously. He renamed the group the Honey Drippers. In 1973, Roy C. started working on a song called Impeach the President. Now, this song was because you had Nixon in office, and he had the Watergate scandal. But the brothers in the group started saying, you know, coming up with different ideas on the writings and what they should talk about. A big motivator of the song was not only Watergate, it was the Vietnam War, because none of these brothers wanted to go. And you also had Roy C.'s theme as the B-side of that particular single, which had a very similar drum beat to Impeach the President.
It's showtime! Introducing Roy C.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got my whole band here tonight. They're all from New York City.
Sometime in the 80s, Impeach the President started being really sought after. So Marley Marl is doing session work for Aaron Fuchs. Sometimes Aaron Fuchs would pay the DJs with records, a combination of records and money, or just sometimes breakbeats, just records. He has records at his disposal, so he gives Marley crates of records, or a crate of records, maybe. And in that crate is Impeach the President.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got MC Shan and Marley Marl in the house tonight. They just came from off tour, and they want to tell you a little story about where they come from.
So now one of the next usages of it that I thought was dope was my man Steady B. On his second album, he had a song called Don't Disturb This Groove.
The competition is relinquished. You stand in amazement after you see this. Words are put together and then translated inside the microphone. You want to bring you. Bobby don't know it, cause I don't show it. But on day to day, that natural born poet. The girlies adore it, they gonna try to spoil it. But each one of them, I'm not going for it. They want you massage it, chest, you caress it. Then you make love when they kiss it, suggested.
Dana Dane with Fame, again, instead of just looping or chopping, they use, and this was probably Herbie Love or Steve-O or whoever produced it, they used the bass and guitar parts as well as using the drum parts.
Orally potent, lethal but steady. Man your battle stations, I'm ready. Cold getting bigger, an idol-like figure. Play me if you want and make like a trigger.
MCMI, people call me Milk. When I'm busting up a party, I feel no guilt. Gizmos cutting up for the suckers that's down with me.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Girls, I got them locked so similar to a prison. In my awesome jams that are causing me favoritism. I heard of being doping, but this beats the mover. The choreographer causing your funky dope maneuver.
I Got an Attitude by Antoinette. This particular time is not that the sounds are individually chopped and they're not straight looped, but the whole loop is chopped in a way to give this particular sample a real dynamic quality. Top Billing, one of the more, again, very creative usages of Impeach the President. Super Lover C and Casanova Roy had a song called Do the James, but the late great Paul C EQ'd the drum beat in a way that was almost distorted, and it gave it a different quality than what everybody else was doing. The Honey Drippers, eventually broke up for the same reason that most bands do. Differences in understanding of copyrights, but mostly publishing, the business part of the music. But the group did do different things after the name Honey Drippers. Again, we give all praises to Morris Ellis for playing the drums on that. You gotta give credit to the root.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Honey Drippers in the house tonight, and they just got back from Washington, D.C. I think they got something they want to say.